Gaza is a besieged city in Palestine. It is said to be the largest open-air prison in the world. How Hamas became so powerful despite being heavily besieged from all sides is being debated. Analysts believe that Hamas has another world underground in Gaza. They have hundreds of kilometers of tunnels. They bring military equipment to Gaza through these tunnels. Israel has announced an attack on part of a secret tunnel network built by the Palestinian armed group Hamas underground in Gaza City. It is hard to imagine the size of this tunnel network, which Israel calls the Gaza Metro. It is believed to extend over an area that is about 41 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide. After the 2021 conflict, the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, claimed the destruction of over 100 kilometers of tunnels by airstrikes. Hamas said at the time that its tunnels covered an area of 500 kilometers and that only 5% of them were affected. What can be mentioned to understand these facts about tunnels is that the length of the entire London Underground is about 400 kilometers. Tunnel construction in Gaza began in 2005, before the withdrawal of Israeli troops and settlers. But it accelerated 2 years after Hamas took control of Gaza. As a result, Israel and Egypt began imposing restrictions on the movement of goods and people for security reasons. At one point, some 2,500 tunnels along the Egyptian border were used by Hamas and other pro-independence groups to smuggle commercial goods, oil and weapons. After 2010, smuggling into Gaza decreased in importance as Israel began to allow more goods to be imported using their crossings. Egypt later destroyed some tunnels and some werewolves damaged by floods. Hamas and other groups then began digging new tunnels to attack Israeli forces. In 2006, 2 Israeli soldiers were killed and another kidnapped using such a tunnel along the Israeli border, who was held hostage for 5 years. In 2013, the IDF discovered a tunnel 1.6 kilometers long and 18 meters deep, with a concrete roof and walls. It extended from the Gaza Strip to near the kibbutz area of Israel. Israelis identified it after local residents heard strange noises. Israel felt the need to wipe out such tunnels to eliminate threats to itself next year. The IDF later claimed to have destroyed more than 30 kilometers of tunnels. But then a group attacked from one such tunnel and killed 4 Israeli soldiers. Israel's Richmond University teacher and underground warfare expert. Cross-border tunnels are like fortresses, says Daphne Richmond Barak. They were originally designed for one-time use in the invasion of Israeli territory. Leaders hide there. They have command control centers. They use them for transportation and communication. They have rail trucks, lighting and electricity. The tunnels built in Gaza are at least 100 feet below the surface and their entrances are in homes, mosques, schools or buildings where the general public gathers. According to Israeli experts, Hamas has become more skilled in tunnel construction and war tactics in recent years. The tunnels built in Gaza are believed to be at least 100 feet below the surface and their entrances are in homes, mosques, schools or buildings where people gather. They use them mainly to prevent the identification of members of armed groups. The IDF alleges that millions of dollars in relief for the people of Gaza have been spent on building tunnels and rebuilding homes damaged in previous wars. The tunnel may also have been used in the attack in Israel last week. 1,300 Israelis were killed in that attack. At least 150 Israelis have been taken hostage by Hamas in Gaza. A tunnel exit has been reported to have been discovered near Kfar Asia. If this is true, then the tunnel is built under the underground wall with anti-tunnel sensors. Israel completed the construction of such a wall in 2021. Dr. Richmond Barak said no method of identifying tunnels is completely proven. This is why tunnels have always been used in warfare since long ago, because there is no way to prevent it. He said it would be unrealistic to believe that Israel could destroy Hamas' entire tunnel network in Gaza. Many cannot be removed from any part of the network for various reasons. Some parts will remain unknown. Again, for some parts, the amount of damage if an attack is inevitable. Hamas, having mastered the technique, could also use it in tunnels and hold American and Israeli hostages there. During the 2021 conflict, 3 residential buildings were destroyed in deadly Israeli airstrikes in Gaza City that killed 42 people. The IDF claimed that the underground tunnels were their target. But when these tunnels are destroyed, the foundations of the buildings beneath these tunnels are also destroyed. Barak said that in addition to the harsh realities of urban warfare and the lethal threat to Israeli forces, the tunnel network often renders the IDF's technology and intelligence operations ineffective. First, Hamas has plenty of time to trap the entire network. They could even let soldiers enter the tunnel and then blow it all up. The tunnels are not like a normal crawl, but quite wide. A man can run through the tunnel unhindered. Apart from adequate lighting, the tunnels also have secret places to hide ammunition and weapons. The walls of the tunnel are made of concrete and look very strong. They can kidnap, suddenly attack soldiers, said the Israeli expert. Then all sorts of dangers would arise: oxygen depletion, one-on-one combat with the enemy. Even rescuing wounded soldiers will become virtually impossible. According to him, without even going inside the tunnel, he identified an area where it was thought that the tunnel might exist. Even there you have to get something that is essentially invisible. The Israeli military, however, will have some methods of dealing with these risks. According to Sufan Group security consultancy research director Colin Clark, in this case it may be possible to send a drone or something unmanned to get an idea about the tunnel map or trap. Bunker-destroying bombs can be dropped from warplanes, capable of penetrating deep into the ground before exploding. However, if you think about dense settlements in the city, there is a risk of extensive damage in these too. As shown in various previously released videos, the tunnels are not a typical crawl space, but quite wide. A man can run through the tunnel unhindered. Apart from adequate lighting, the tunnels also have secret places to hide ammunition and weapons. The walls of the tunnel are made of concrete and look very strong.